Heads of government, members of the international and diplomatic communities, senior representatives of various oil and gas companies, distinguished speakers and participants, members of our Caribbean community, ladies and gentlemen, it brings me great pleasure to address you at this summit, CARVIS 2020, a virtual force of its kind for our Caribbean community and certainly a force for Guyana as a recently established petroleum producing nation. I bring you greetings on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. His Excellency has bestowed upon me the honor of representing him at this summit, and it is within this vein that I address you in an effort to connect, examine, and share not only Guyana's advancement regarding our oil and gas sector, but highlight the way forward in its development. This event is testimony to the fact that even as we face challenging times, globally, regionally, and nationally, in ways that are common to us all, yet in many other ways, they are unique to each nation's circumstances, humankind has once again proven its ability to persevere and strive through innovation. Therefore, I acknowledge the organizers, Valiant Business Media UK, and Guyana for hosting an event of such magnitude. In this difficult period of suffering and anguish that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought upon countless families and communities, we gather today with vigor, with hope, with the determination required to build an even brighter future. And to put it into perspective, I quote John Scar, "The future is not a place we go to, it is a place we create." For this reason, we have gathered here at this time at this summit. Now more than ever, we must think about ways of overcoming individual challenges in this sector and by extension explore ways of collaboration and possible cooperation with potential opportunities for investment and technical assistance. It is on this note that I bring your focus to Guyana today, a seemingly small nation but with a resilient and ingenious people. Guyana's emerging petroleum sector has heralded a time of hope and vision of achieving the potential often spoke of in our national song, "Oh Beautiful Guyana." At a time when the nations around the world are grappling with declining economic growth, Guyana is on the rise. In May 2015, with the Liza discovery, Guyana was the country that reported the largest hydrocarbon find for the year. Now just a few years later, in September 2020, Guyana is a new petroleum-producing nation with 18 oil discoveries to her credit and a vibrant petroleum sector in the making. Esso Exploration and Production Guyana Limited, 18 discovery in the Stabroek Block was recently announced by yours truly just a few days ago. This established a discovery rate of 90% and an estimated resource base of over 8 billion recoverable barrels of oil and substantial volumes of associated gas. The government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, through the recently installed administration led by His Excellency, has the historic task of ensuring that Guyana's development of this sector creates a national impact and generates immediate and long-lasting benefits for all Guyanese, present and future. The government also has the task of strategically guiding Guyana's growth and opportunities so as to create a positive and long-lasting regional and global impact on the developmental efforts of its sister countries in CARICOM and around the world. In all of this, we will not lose sight of our most important resource, our people, their needs, their hopes, their right to a quality life, to education, to health, to safety, to a future. This government will approach the oil and gas sector in a national, non-partisan manner. We are fully aware that this sector will bring not only significant financial resources and enormous transformational opportunities, but also many challenges. There are many examples around the world where developing countries have obtained windfalls from oil and gas, but eventually ended poorer than before. The resource course will not be taken lightly, and we will learn from the experiences of others. It must be noted, however, that our work is guided by several pillars, which include good governance, increased value extraction, efficiency, improved transparency, accountability, predictability, balance, and evidence-based decision making. This will aid in avoiding the negative effects as mentioned before. Guyana is preparing and transitioning for one of the most momentous occurrences in its economic history, the emerging oil and gas sector. This preparation required the building of human and institutional capacity, crafting and agreeing to some critical policy and legal measures such as the Natural Resource Fund and the Crude Lifting Agreement, and pursuing strong support and coordination amongst a number of governmental and non-governmental agencies. The year 2020 brought us not only the COVID-19 pandemic, but also resulted in an industry crisis in human resources and oil prices. It is fair to say that in any usual year, managing a new petroleum sector and industry will be a major challenge for many of the governments in the developing world. Our government, though informed, is not swayed by these factors, but has set apart and engaged various strategies to ensure an increased and enhanced focus on establishing and delivering various measures that would ensure the best gains for Guyana and for Guyanese with the prevailing circumstances and in spite of them. Central to our strategy are three critical areas. 1. A governance and regulatory framework for proper and sustainable management of the resource. 2. Transparency and accountability. 3. Securing benefits for all Guyanese. To ensure that our oil resource is managed responsibly, the government will immediately engage the oil and gas companies in better contract administration and renegotiation. Establish a petroleum commission to provide the much needed technical oversight to enhance the regulation of the petroleum sector. Establish an arm's-length natural resource fund insulated from political interference. Define by legislation how funds will flow from the natural resource fund into the budget and the purpose for which they will be used. Ensure that the expenditures are transparently determined and go through the parliamentary process. Establish a model production sharing agreement on industry-wide standards and best practices. The purpose of this is to ensure that Guyanese receive maximum benefits from these contracts without de-incentivizing foreign investors in the sector. Training of thousands of Guyanese at every level to create a national core of managers and workforce to chart the future direction and effectively manage the sector. To prevent oil monies from being squandered or misused, the government will, among other things, uphold the Santiago Principles of Transparency and Accountability and Extractive Industry Transparency Index, criminalize non-disclosure of receipt of funds from oil revenues, ensure annual reports from the government are laid in the National Assembly detailing oil revenues and expenditures, ensure there are regular audits, involve civil society in a central role to monitor compliance and accountability. The oil resource, as all Guyanese natural resources, belongs to the people of Guyana. Our government will ensure that oil revenue works for all Guyanese and is spent on improving people's lives and wealth generation. Some areas in which oil revenue will be directed are support for job creation, world-class education and healthcare systems, social and economic infrastructure, targeted cash transfer to Guyanese, particularly the elderly, children, the poor, and other vulnerable groups, strong local content with legislative safeguards, saving for future generations, tax reduction for local businesses and individuals. His Excellency, President Irfaan Ali, in keeping faithful to these promises, has already established a high-level panel on local content in the oil and gas sector. This panel is charged with the responsibility of supporting the development of legislation to pave the way for local content development and allowing Guyanese to extract more value from the oil and gas sector. We are also in the process of establishing a technical task force on natural gas to ensure that not only gas is brought to shore in the shortest possible time to reduce our energy insecurities in the power sector, but also have an overall plan for the utilization and monetization of gas. Another early and key initiative is moving to have the Petroleum Commission Bill passed in the National Assembly so as to effectuate the establishment of the Petroleum Commission and provide the technical institutional framework for the enhanced regulation of the sector. Further, expenditure allocations in Budget 2020 will serve to support access to expertise in marketing of crude oil and cost audits to ensure that we are able to maximize the benefits that flow from this resource. We have also increased the allocation to the National Bureau of Standards, which has responsibility to facilitate accurate measurements and metering of the FPSOs, from $298.6 million to $586.5 million to ensure that they are fully equipped to execute this critical oversight responsibility. This sector will deliver to Guyanese people, but much more has to be done. For example, Guyana has already received payment for its forestry lifts and 2 royalty payments totaling over $144 million US. These monies have been deposited into the Natural Resource Fund. Among this, the Guyanese economy saw over $300 million US in direct investment in the last year. Oil and gas companies employed over 2,000 employees, representing an average of 56% of the workforce in this sector. The companies have trained over 200 Guyanese. They have engaged over 600 Guyanese small businesses, and over 70 joint ventures with local companies were established. This administration continues to emphasize the need for greater capacity building, standards raising, and knowledge transfer. Our government continues along this transformational path to implement various policies, legal and technical initiatives, so as to streamline operations within the sector and address the related growth matrix, which ensure the holistic development of other sectors of the economy, such as agriculture and manufacturing, fisheries, and export, just to name a few. In managing this sector, this new and vibrant industry, our government remains cognizant that Guyana's oil and gas sector is expected to be the catalytic and pivotal in transforming our economy, our lives, and our future, nationally, regionally, and internationally. It is therefore with all sincerity that the state and people of Guyana salute those from all sides and disciplines for their significant contributions towards the sector. I close with a quote by His Excellency President Irfan Ali, and I quote, "There must be no doubt in the minds of our people that our country, our nation, our people are the beneficiaries of the oil and gas sector. We stand at the beginning of a road that could lead us all to a bright and prosperous future, a future that could take us to the famed El Dorado." End of quote. As we develop, explore, and sustain our nation's patrimony, I restate that it is the government of Guyana's every intention to ensure that these resources are utilized to the benefit of all Guyanese. Thank you.